Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Let us continue with the chapter Reproduction in Animals. Well, this is the fourth theory session of this chapter, and in the earlier session I have explained about the concept of sexual reproduction, right? Besides that, I have also explained the male and female reproductive system. After following those basic sessions, you must be aware of this thing that the male reproductive system is required, or it is producing the sperms, right? Whereas the female reproductive system, it produces the ovum. And during sexual reproduction, what happens? There is the fusion of sperm and the female gamete, that is the ovum, right? So such type of fusion, that is the initial step further in the reproduction. See, if the sexual reproduction has to take place, the very first thing that is required for this is the production of the gametes. What are the gametes? The sperm cells and the ovum cells. So now you know how these sperms and the ovums are produced, right? Now after that, the next step in the process of reproduction is the fusion of male and the female gamete. So in today's session, we are going to study about this process, and it is actually known as the fertilization, right? So in different animals, it occurs in different ways. Fertilization can occur either inside the body or outside the body. So whatever is the required information for you guys, that I'm going to deliver it today in this session, right? So let us find out the details of the process fertilization. So students, this process, that is fertilization, it is defined as the process of the fusion of the eggs and the sperms, due to which there is a formation of a fertilized egg, which is also known as the zygote, right? Now this particular thing, it seems to be very easy, that there are two cells which are getting fused together and the zygote is produced, isn't it? But students, it is not this much easy, and even it takes time, right? It takes time with respect to what? With respect to the development of the new individual organism. But actually how it takes place, or how it happens, in this case, it is not merely the two cells that are fusing here, which is actually helping in the production of new organism. What happens is that there is the fusion of the nucleus of each cell. That means the nuclei of the sperm and the nuclei of the egg, it fuse together, and inside the zygote again a single nucleus is present. Otherwise, if you just think from the other side, then just two cells are getting fused, and due to this, there should be the double amount of content should be present inside the zygote. Like there should be two nucleus, then besides that, whatever are the other organelles or the other things, they should be in double content. It is not like that. Fertilization, it refers to basically the fusion of the nucleus of each cell, that is the nucleus of sperm as well as the egg. And this is why in the zygote further there is only a single nucleus, which is containing the information transmitted from both the parents, that is from the male, that is the father, in the form of sperm, and from the mother in the form of the ovum. So now each nucleus, they are having the chromosome or the genetic material, and in the zygote the genetic material of each parent has now fused together. Now further, therefore we always say that in the next generation or in the offspring, they are having the characteristics of both the parents. Now the point is that how it takes place, that is means how the fertilization takes place. They are two individual cells. It is not so easy. See, you have studied about the male and female reproductive system. So let us see this picture, which is showing the fusion of the sperm and eggs in the human beings, right? See, this is the egg here. This yellow cell, this is showing the female egg, right? That is a ovum. And these pink structures, they are showing the sperms here. Now actually what happens, do you remember the structure of the sperm? It is having the acrosomal part. There are three parts in the sperm, right? The anterior most, there is the head part, then there is the middle piece, and then there is the tail. And at the anterior side of this particular sperm, there is the acrosome, right? So when these two cells, they come in contact with each other, what will happen? Initially, the acrosome which is present at the tip of the head, it is going to release out some chemicals, and due to those chemicals, this the egg is actually able to receive the sperm. How? Those chemicals, they will help in dissolving the plasma membrane of the human egg, the egg cells, and due to which the acrosome can penetrate inside. Sidewise, the plasma membrane of this sperm as well as this ovum, both are going to dissolve, and the nucleus of the sperm will get inside into the cytoplasm of the egg cell. And once it happens, then it reaches towards the female nucleus of the female cell or the human egg, and then the fusion is going to take place, and further a single nucleus is produced, which is now resulting in the development of the zygote, right? One thing again that I should mention here is that at a time only a single sperm is able to fuse with the ovum. See, the sperms are produced in millions, right? And although we are never saying that these millions of sperms, they are fusing together with the single egg. It never happens. What happens is a single sperm is getting fused with the single egg at a time. Now, how is it possible? There are so many sperms in surrounding. Then how only single sperm is able to fuse with the egg? It is possible because when this acrosomal recognition or this chemical reaction is going on, the egg cell or the ova is also getting activated, and it is producing or it is secreting some chemical which is forming a layer in its surrounding. Right, and this particular surrounding or this layer which is produced here, it is secreted here, will not allow the further other sperms to penetrate inside. And this is how only a single nucleus from the sperm is transferred into the cytoplasm of the female egg, right? So this is how the fertilization is taking place. Now the point is where this fusion is taking place. Well, while explaining female reproductive system, I explained and I actually told you that fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube in the human beings, right? But the thing is that there are different types of animals, isn't it? And there are the animals in which the fertilization can take place inside the female's body, or there are the organisms in which the fertilization can take place outside the body. So now let me explain that what are the different types of fertilization and how it takes place. So students, depending on the site where the fertilization is going to take place, the fertilization is of two types: internal and external. You know, by this term itself, I hope it must be clear to you that what actually it means. After this long discussion, it should be very clear, right? Internal fertilization means what? That the fertilization or the fusion of eggs and sperms is taking place inside the female body. External fertilization, it means the fusion is taking place outside the female's body. Right. Now, external, if it is outside the body, so exactly where is it taking place, and in what type of organisms is it so much common? So basically, students, this external fertilization generally occurs in the aquatic organisms. We will go through this in details further, but let us first start with the internal fertilization. So this internal fertilization, it is defined as the process of fusion of sperms and the ovum inside the female body. I have simply written here as fertilization, which takes place inside the female body. But when you are writing this definition or this answer in your exams, it is better to write in the details in a proper manner. Right. So this is what we mean by the internal fertilization. Examples are very common, like human beings itself, then cows, dog, elephants, or in short we can say the mammals. Then there are birds. They all are showing the internal fertilization. There are so many other different type of animals which are reproducing through the internal fertilization. And of course, if this internal fertilization has to take place, then what should happen? Sperms, they have to travel from male body to the female's body. Right? What is this fusion? I said it is a fusion of sperms and the ovum, isn't it? Now the point is that male and female, they are two separate body. How these sperms are going to enter inside the female body? They are present in two separate individuals, isn't it? So how the fusion will take place? For that, of course, the copulatory organ of male is participating, and the penis, that is known as the copulatory organ, it is transferring or it is ejaculating the sperms produced by the testes into the female body. In the female body, we can say in the reproductive system, which part? Into the vagina. Right? So these sperms are ejaculated into the vagina of the female reproductive system, and from here the sperms, they will reach the oviduct. Sperms are motile in nature, they are having the tail. So now you can understand the significance of this tail here. This tail, it will help the sperm to move in the upward direction into the uterus. So what will be the direction now? From vagina, sperm is going to travel into the uterus through the opening that is known as the cervix. Right? Further, it will keep on moving in the upward direction and it will reach the oviduct. Oviduct, or we can say the another name of oviduct is the fallopian tube. Right? So this is how now it has reached over there. So where the ovum is present, it is produced by the ovary. So do you think the sperms have to travel to the ovary also? No. It will not reach over that. Rather, ovary, it is producing the ovum, which is released out into the fallopian tube, and the site of fertilization in such organisms is therefore the oviduct. So if the two cells are available, they will of course fuse together and there will be the production of the new cell, that is zygote, which is also known as the fertilized egg. Right? So let me show you one picture to clarify this thing now. See, I told you earlier that how this fusion is taking place. Right? If the two cells, that is the this ovum and the sperm, if they meet each other, the process of fertilization will take place in the oviduct. See, this is the ovary, right? And in the ovary, there are the specific cells which are going to produce the eggs. The egg is going to release out at a particular time period during the menstrual cycle into the surrounding region, and this particular end of the fallopian tube will sweep this particular egg into its own cavity, right? And further, it will keep on moving in the forward direction. Fine. In this case, the sperms, they will initially reach this vagina. From vagina, it will go into the uterus and will reach, or it will move into the fallopian tube. So it is this side. On either side, it can take place, right? Either in the left side of the left fallopian tube or in the right side. So over here, this fusion will take place. You can see this egg is there. It is attacked by the sperms, and therefore there is the formation of the zygote. Fertilization, it will result in the production of the zygote, and this zygote, now it will move on, it will keep on moving towards the central part or the uterus. And during this particular movement, the cell division is also taking place continuously. A single zygote, it will initially divide into two cells. The two cells will further divide into four cells, and this way the process of cell division will continue. After a certain stage, that is it is something around 32 cell stage, the this particular this ball of cells, it is going to implant into the uterus. So further in this particular thing, the implantation of this growing embryo in uterus will take place. Sidewise, there will be the later on there will be the development of the placenta, and it will keep help in the nourishment of this growing embryo, and later the development will continue. And during this process, there will be there will be the production of some layers in its surrounding, so as to protect the developing embryo inside the mother's body. So this is how this internal fertilization is taking place. Now this picture is actually showing the internal fertilization in human beings. Similarly, it is going to take place in different types of organisms also, right? And of course, further development will take place, which is going to vary among different types of organisms. And this development, of course, we are going to study further, right? But before we study that this development, let me explain that what is external fertilization. So this external fertilization, it is defined as a type of fertilization in which the fusion of a male and a female gamete takes place outside the body of the female. Now this word, that is the female's body, is very important when we are defining the fertilization. See, if we have to explain the internal fertilization, definitely it is for sure that fertilization is going to take place inside the female's body only. There is no organism in which the fertilization, the internal fertilization, is taking place inside the male's body, isn't it? So of course, if it is we have to explain it further, I mean for the external fertilization, so we have to use this term, that is female's body, in this particular definition, right? Further, it is usually taking place in the lower organisms, and this type of fertilization, it basically occurs in the aquatic region, that is in the water. So what type of examples will come in your mind for such type of fertilization? Like fish, then the frogs. These are the organisms, more of course all other similar organisms also, they are reproducing by external fertilization in water, right? And for this process, each organism, that is the male and the female, they are releasing out their gametes in their surrounding, that is in the water. Let me show you. See, the female organism, it will lay the eggs in the water, right? And of course, then the male organism also release so many sperms over these released eggs in surrounding, right? And of course, these particular cells, that is the eggs, that is ovum, and the sperms, they will fuse together in the flowing water. Now the point is that since the gametes are released in the water, don't you think they will be removed away with the flowing water only? So the chances of fusion is quite rare, right? But of course, if they are present over there, they come in contact with each other, fertilization will definitely take place. So this is actually the reason that why in such organisms the female organism is laying eggs which is more than single. You have observed in the other cases in internal fertilization, it is not so many ovums which are released by the egg, isn't it? For example, in human beings itself, only a single egg is released out from the ovary in a month. But over here in such organisms, you can see female is laying so many ovum here, isn't it, or the eggs here. Now further, if they come in contact with the male, definitely they are going to fuse. Many of them will flow away in the flowing water, and the others, they may get fused together with each other, right? Now here you can see this picture. This is showing the fertilized eggs of the frogs. So what happens during this process? Actually, the two organisms, male and female, they will actually release these particular eggs. Actually, the eggs of the female is present over some bush or some small leaves over there in the aquatic plant, and over that there is some jelly like structure. They are captured together, they are embedded, or they are enclosed inside some jelly matrix, so that they will remain captured here. Sidewise, they are also getting fused with the sperms. Fine. And thus in this region the growth will take place, and further these small larvae or the tadpoles, they are going to be developed from these growing eggs or the fertilized eggs, and the process of reproduction will continue. But the important task in such case is the formation of the or the production of the zygote, since there is a risk of flowing away or washing away of these gametes due to flowing water. So if the zygote is produced, then the development will start and the process will continue. So these are the basic different types of fertilization, internal and external. Further, the development is taking place, and since the system is different in the organisms which are reproducing through this internal fertilization or external fertilization, so the process of development is also going to vary in these organisms, right? So this we are going to study in the next session. Till then, study well. We'll continue in the next session. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.